Hey, good morning. It's 10:35 on Christmas morning, and I've decided that we're starting this YouTube channel right now. So, hi. I don't know why this feels so weird. I keep acting as if I don't talk to my phone on a daily basis, but I'm feeling a little nervous. I'm also getting over a cold, so if you hear that, ignore it. We'll move past. But inspiration has struck, and I have been debating back and forth what to do for this first video. Obviously I'm hoping some of my TikTok pals have hopped over here, so if you know me already, that's great. If you don't, I'm Claire. I read a lot of books, have a bit of a shopping problem. What are you gonna do? Recently on my TikToks, I've been doing pretty well, pretty much just giving you my reactions to books. So that will probably be the majority of this channel. I don't know if that's true. We'll see how it goes. But for this first video, I thought I would kind of give you a little look into maybe what I read and what to expect from me. So we're gonna go over all of the books that I have read in 2024. I'm just gonna go onto my Goodreads and see all of the books I've read. I don't remember most of them. I'm gonna just try to recall if I like these books, if I would recommend them, and I guess maybe what I rated them? I don't know. The goal for the year was to read 75 books. I did not get there. I'm a human being, what are you gonna do? I have read so far 57 books this year. Don't know if I mentioned, I'm kind of like a half physical reader, half Kindle reader. I'm trying to get more into my Kindle because I pay for it and then I don't use it for 6 months. So we're getting over that. The first book of the year was Never Lie by Frida McFadden. This was my first Frida McFadden book. If I recall, she just absolutely blew up all over the internet for very like fast-paced thrillers and mysteries and just like overall like creepy, freaky stories. Never Lie so far has been my favorite book by her. I blazed through this book. Like I said, I think I read it in like 3 days and I gave it 4 stars. So sure, I would recommend Never Lie by Frida McFadden. Second book of the year was Ruthless Vows by Miss Rebecca Ross. This is the second book in the Divine Rivals duology. I am obsessed with Divine Rivals. It was one of my favorite books of the year last year. And this I loved so much. I know this book gets like a lot of discourse. I think you either loved it or hated it. I just love Rowan and Iris, so I'm dragged in. Did I remember those names? Roman, oh fuck, it's Roman, sorry. I like that they got their happy ending, but it wasn't easy, like they kind of had to work for it. And I tabbed her. I recently got into annotating this year. I even think I highlighted this book. Oh yeah. She was highlighting. I just love them. I think they are one of like the sweetest couples ever, and they hold such a special place in my heart. 5 stars. So I mean, I know there's some people who didn't like it. Is it as good as the first? Maybe not, but the fact that they get their happy ending was enough for me. That's it. After that was actually another 5-star read for me, but it was a reread. Unwind Dystology by Neil Shusterman. I have no fucking idea. I read this book in high school for the first time and it ruined my life. This series is so dark, it is so fucked up. It's incredible in my opinion, and I wanted to reread the whole series this year. I didn't get to. I honestly only read the first and like half of the second, but the reread of this book did hold up. I managed to forget about some really important parts. This book makes me cry. I love the series. If there's anything you take away from this, read this book. I mean, read what it's about, and trigger warning, because it does get like dark and like it's very fucked up premise, but I swear the payoff is so good. I really cannot recommend this series enough. This is gonna be so much work taking these in and out and in and out. Why did I decide to do this? Putting off our romances for the year, I went with a dark one and I read Butcher and Blackbird. Don't know how to feel about this book. I didn't know how to feel about it when I read it. Judging from my Goodreads rating, I did not love this book. I only gave her 3 stars. I did not remember that. But from what I can remember, I'll give you tiny premise. It's basically about 2 serial killers who have a romance, and it's really dark, really fucked up, really graphic and gross. I have a distinct feeling that's coming back to me now that this book, it's like they're serial killers. They're like dark, like strong, crazy people, yet when it comes to emotional intelligence, they're complete idiots. And I think I couldn't get past that, especially him. Like, he's such a wimp, like when it comes to like loving her and being romantic. And I don't mean like he's sweet and sappy. He's pathetic a little bit. And it's strange to me because I'm like, you're out here murking people left and right and you can't like have an open conversation about how you feel? Ew, that's an ick for me. The entirety of my February, I embarked on this journey. Dun 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 dun. You can't tell from this angle, but actually I'll move you, whatever. My whole SJM collection is up there. I love her books. I absolutely devoured all of her series, including this one. Now that is how you do tabs, okay? Let's talk about this series after it is with book 1. I love this book. I think I rated it like 4 stars, and the only reason it didn't get a 5 from me is because I found myself getting bored at times. I think if you're jumping into a series and the first book and every book after it is 800 plus pages, you've lost your damn mind. That's too much, even for me. So the weird, like, spoilers, sorry, the weird Hunt switch up at the end where like he like low-key betrayed her, I still don't understand that, and I'm still pissed about it, honestly. Holy. Moving on from that, we obviously started Iron Breath. This, I would say, out of all of them, is probably my least favorite. I don't know why. I don't really remember. I just remember specifically when I read this book, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be my least favorite one. That being said, we still have crazy amounts of tabs. Once again, I made a little key. I just have tabs for like specific characters, specific relationships, and then I have a banter one because the banter just hits. I rated this 4 stars. I can't remember why it wasn't my favorite one. I think this is where we got into the fact that there's so many characters that you're like switching POVs every single chapter, and then you get stuck in like a person's POV that you don't really care about, and you're there forever. And it just drove me a little nuts, I think. So I think there were just too many plot lines going on that I could not keep them straight, and I was overwhelmed. Shadow. That does continue in Miss House of Flame and Shadow. I ate this book up, okay? And once again, I think that is an unpopular opinion. This was a 5-star for me. I'm sorry. And I know everybody like didn't like this book. I loved it. I can't explain it. And maybe it's because it just brought me back to like the ACOTAR feeling of like you're so invested in these characters and you just need to know what's happening. And doing that with only 3 books is impressive, but I think the fact that all the books are like 800 plus pages is the reason she was able to do that. Once again, we tabbed to the gods. What can I say? Became my favorite character in this book, especially the thing at the end. Spoilers, the thing at the end? Her low-key being related to Miss Aelin Ashford of Galathinius? That ruined my life. I could not think of anything else. I had the biggest book hangover of my life. Unlike these books took me all the way through the end of January, all the way until March 1st. So now we're in March. Let's get into those books. The first one I read was Unholy, which is the second Unwind book. Like I said, I only got like halfway through that, but on Goodreads it counts it, so I'm counting it 5 stars. After that, I hopped back on my Kindle, which I have not touched now since January, and we read Collide. I'm gonna put the picture in here. This is a hockey romance, palate cleanser. She was depressed from SJM. Somehow I rated this 5 stars. Could not tell you a single thing that happens in it. Like, not a clue. I don't even remember the characters' names, but I'm sure it was cute and fluffy and smutty, and it was what I needed at the time, and it delivered. Recommend? Yes. With the Kindle. After that, we stuck with the Kindle, and I read The Inmate by Frida McFadden. This was not as good of a read for me. I only gave it like 3 stars. I just think loves misdirection, and I love her for that. We all love her for that. However, there is a certain point when you're telling me the whole time, I'm thinking one thing the whole time. You're telling me, no, that can't be right. And then you make a big reveal and it's not right. And then you take the big reveal away and I was right. Okay, what was the point of that? You know what I'm saying? The misdirection just drove me crazy at a point. So wasn't my favorite, 3 stars. Recommend it if you're looking for like a quickie read to get yourself out of a slump. Any Frida book, read it. My favorite. After that, I read one of my favorite books ever. The 7-Year Slip. This book was so good. This was also a 5-star for me. I have a lot of 5 stars. I did not think I had this many. You know what though? I think I had them all in the beginning and in the end, and there were none in the middle. Book up, read her in a few days. The tabs. I live and breathe. The idea of this book, like the slight magic of it, makes me want to read all of this woman's books, and I know Ashley Poston is like kind of hit or miss. Next, I have to read The Dead Romantics. I've been saying I have to read that book for like 2 years and I haven't. I loved it. Oops. Favorite thing I remember from this book was the subplot with her aunt. Her aunt and the other lady. Oh my god. Yes. Just yes. That's all I have to say. On set, would 1000% recommend this. You should totally read it. After that, I read a Kindle book that I literally completely forgot about called Don't Let Her Stay. I did not like this book at all. I felt like the entire thing was leading up to something. that never happened, and it drove me up the fucking wall. I gave her 3 stars. I would probably move it down to 2. I just felt like nothing happened in this book. It was all the lead up of a thriller with 0 payoff. Drove me fucking nuts. Don't read it, save your time. I bought. After that, I hopped on a TikTok classic that I just never got to, which is They Both Die in the End. Loved it. I thought it was really well written. I thought the premise was super interesting, and of course it's fucking devastating. The ending broke my heart. And yes, you know what's gonna happen the whole time. It literally ruined my day. Recommend it. I think I gave it 4 stars, and I think I would recommend it to people, I think, finding friendship and finding love when maybe they've never felt that before and at such a vulnerable point in their lives. It's just, I would recommend if you want your feelings hurt. I started my Allie Hazelwood journey. I've recently moved all her books right here because we love her, and I've gotten through a good chunk of them this year. We started with The Love Hypothesis. Adam Carlson, ladies and gentlemen. Love these books. Like, I love these books maybe a little too much. I devoured this book. I loved it so much. You know, said that I would give it 4.5 stars, which I still agree with. I read a book called The Lonely Hearts Book Club. This was a gift I got from one of my pals, and she got me this book because she thought I would really like it. I ended up tabbing it. Only like the end is really like what paid off for me, and it's literally just about like a group of people who don't have too much in common, but they make a book club and talk, and like you get to see all these different people connect with each other, and it's a very sweet read, but it took me a while to get through just because there isn't really like a crazy overarching plot. It's kind of just people living their lives. Memorable. I put 4 stars. I would agree with that. I think I was happy while I was reading it. It just isn't like crazy super memorable after the fact. The book I read was The Cheerleaders by Kara Thompson. Here's the thing. On my Goodreads, I wrote a review for this book and like raved about it, and it says that I rated it 4 stars, and now I'm sat here and this book so gave me the ick. And I'm not sure why I raved about it or made this review or rating. All I can remember from this book is it's a thriller. It's about like all of the main 4 or 3 cheerleaders from this town, like all mysteriously died in like really weird accidents like a few years in a row, and this is one of the like little sisters or something like that. And Ezra. There was also weird undertones of like, there was like a teacher, like an Arya and Ezra situation. There was a teacher and a student, and I can't, what the fuck, no. And it was like weirdly glorified, and this girl's like trying to convince you that it's okay, and I'm like, no, queen, you're being taken advantage of, and I don't want to be a part of that. I would definitely probably lower my rating to like a 3 star. I remember the plot being kind of interesting. It must have been because I raved about it for some reason, but I don't know. So like maybe? I'm not sure. You read up on it, and you let me know. I fucking hated this. I'm sorry. I do not understand like the crazy hype behind this book. Nothing happens for 80% of it, and then the ending, once again, yes, it's sad, but like what the fuck? It honestly just felt like really pointless, and that's all I'm gonna say. I do not recommend it. If it's your thing, obviously it's YA-ish, but once again, it's YA-ish, and then why are the teenagers having sex? What are we doing here, y'all? Not for me. Not for me. If you loved it, I'm so happy for you, because I wanted to love it, like so many people did, but it just wasn't for me. So we're gonna move on from her, because it's based on. After that, I decided to embark on another journey where I wanted to read the Divergent series. Really entertaining. I like the idea, like the plot. It's super cool. Like all those dystopian young adult things, like the Hunger Games, like they're great books. They're really entertaining. I did continue on to Insurgent, which I think I gave the read says 3 stars. So I gave 3 stars too. This book, once again, it's a lot of back and forth. Nothing really happens. We don't move the plot along at all. There's just a lot of like hemming and hawing, and I cannot stand it. Also, as a side note, I screwed myself over because I'm a big fan of turning to the end to see, oh, it's however many pages, because I like to know what goal I'm working toward. Because at the end of this book, there's like an extra like deleted scene. I didn't realize it was a deleted scene though, and all I read was like, I thought it was like an expanded version of something of Triss and Phora breaking up, and I was like, oh my god, they're gonna break up. So throughout this entire book, I had so much dread in my chest because I was waiting for them to break up, and then they didn't, and they should have. I think that's all I have to say on that one. Comments. Somebody also told me in my comments on TikTok that Allegiant, and I was like, oh, therefore I have not continued the series on Kindle. Next book I read was on Kindle, and I went on a little trip with a friend of mine in June, and we went to Scotland, and I was like, hey, just bring your Kindle with you, load up however many books you want, and just read a bunch of random shit. I decided to read Credence. I heard a lot of talk about it, and I wanted to know the drama. No, I don't. I wish I didn't know the drama. I wish I could scrub it from my brain. And something about me, I really, really, really rarely DNF books. I can't do it. I just like to, you know, work towards a goal, check it off my list. And I unfortunately finished this book and struggled through it. And what the actual fucking fuck was that? Ew, gross, bye. Put these people in jail, her included. I didn't rate this book because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. My review on Goodreads says, what the fuck? That's all I have to say. And I stand by that. Dark Window, this was one of my first fantasy, no, I think it is my first fantasy book since finishing Crescent City, and I loved her. She was so good. And the 4 stars, the first one. I do have to say, this book was so overly hyped, but I think my brain was not in it while I was reading. I think one day I will give a reread to both this one and the second one because I really enjoyed them, but right now could not tell you anything. Could not tell you anything. I remember bits and pieces. Also, confession. I was under the impression that the dark one, the guy in her head, I was under the impression that the romance was somehow gonna be between them. So when Raven popped out and I'm like, oh my god, he's kind of cute, kind of handsome, I was like, no. Because I'm riding for the dark one. That's my boy. I'm rooting for him. I should not have been rooting for him. That was not what was happening, but I thought that's what that was happening. And it was a Tamlin situation where I was like, this man is brought here to confuse me. No. So I feel like I didn't necessarily enjoy all of the Raven content in this book, and I should have. So that's my bad. This was Brain. I think this was 5 stars. It was 4 stars. I ate this one up. I don't know what about this book I loved so much, but I loved it. Why did it turn into a thriller at the end? Can anybody answer that question for me? Because that was crazy. I loved the plot. I love him, Levi, girl. The fact that I remember his name, because I forget most of them, I love him. It is in here. So many stars. You should read it. Idea of You, which is a book that was turned into a movie with Anne Hathaway and Nicholas Galitzine, and I love him. So I read the book. It's a glorified Harry Styles fanfiction. 3 stars. It was fine. I think I gave it 3 stars. I will say the ending's depressing. They actually just never speak again. And I'm like, oh, so it was a little strange. Would I recommend it? Not really. Watch the movie. You kind of get it. And I mean, that's it. On to Two Twisted Crowns, which is the second book in the duology with One Dark Window. This book, look at the tabs. They speak for themselves. The couple that takes the forefront of this book, I'm struggling to remember their names. I think it's Elm and it's not Blythe. That's Wisteria. I don't know if I'm saying that right. That's her name. Wow, I just had to search through all of my tabs to fucking attempt to find that. Anyway, this book, I believe I rated 5 stars. I enjoyed it a lot. Their romance for me was so much crazier, probably because I wasn't thinking about the dark one the whole time. Once again, that's my bad. I will revisit. But the magic system in these books was so cool, and I was really intrigued to just see what they were gonna do with it and where we were gonna end up. So I would definitely recommend that duology. So fun. Back. Next I read 7 Days in June. This book fucked me up. Oh my god. I loved this book so much. It was so sad, but beautiful at the same time, because this is just 2 extremely confused and twisted characters that really are meant for each other, and it's a story about them finding each other at the wrong time and then totally finding each other at the right time, and it's just, oh my god, I loved it so much. A good 15 had me staring at a wall for a good 15 minutes after finishing it, because I just had to let it simmer, let it sink in. I loved this book. Now to talk about a book I did not love. I read A Study in Drowning. I wanted to love this book. I wanted to devour it. I wanted her to be one of my favorites. It was so hyped up, and once again it just fell victim to your wait off, and it did not. There is so much lead up. You're waiting this entire story for the big bad thing that everybody keeps talking about, is the big bad thing, and then the big bad thing is handled in a paragraph and a half on 1 page. That is my least favorite thing you could do in a book, especially a fantasy book. Do not give me all this lead up that this thing can't be killed, can't be handled, whatever, and it's done in 2 paragraphs. That's so ridiculous, and it really made me angry. 3-star for the idea and like the bits of plot that were okay. Next, we started a series. We read all of the Inheritance Games. I'm going to talk about these in an overall scale. I think all the books I rated 4 stars. They were good. They were entertaining, very YA. The 3rd book was, I didn't really care for the relationship aspect. I didn't care. I wanted her to end up with Grayson and she was just sticking with Jameson. And so I was like a little disappointed by that the whole time. I also felt like the 1st book, obviously we had a really clear plot. The 2nd book, I felt like we also had a pretty clear plot. And then the 3rd book was just a little nuts, in my humble opinion. Recommend them though, if you enjoy twist and turny mysteries. Like I was expecting very like Knives Out vibes. So it does kind of have that. And like I said, it's YA, it's mystery, it's weird riddles and games, so that could be fun. Oh, and I did read another book in between those that I just forgot to mention. It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover in preparation for the movie. I actually thought the book was really good. I think I rated it like 4 stars. It's sad, it's good. I understand why it did really well, especially all over social media, but with all like the stuff that has happened with that movie, it has put a bad taste in my mouth, and that's all I'm gonna say on that. Would I recommend it? I don't know. You do your research and decide for you. All of those are. Oh my god. How do I want to do this? One, I started The Mortal Instruments City of Bones. When Stranger Things came out, okay? Season 5. And everybody fell in love with Jamie Campbell Bower. I fell in love with Jamie Campbell Bower. From there, I watched his entire filmography, one of which being the Mortal Instruments movie that I did not know about that came out in like 2009 or 13, somewhere in between there. Since I watched that movie, been dying to read the books. Have not got around to it until this year. Here we go. Ate this book up. I think this one, I want to say literally all of them are rated between 4 and 5 stars. They were just entertaining. They kept me going. I don't have like a crazy amount to say. I really read like I want to show you the evolution of the tabs. These are the only tabs that were in here for book 1. You'll see how bad they get with the rest. Hold on, I read one of my favorite books of the year, another 5-star, Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I had already read Yours Truly. This book, oh my god. It's one of my favorite romances of all time. All-town romance kind of. I loved this book. The relationship was so stinking sweet. I don't know. Maybe I'm a small town romance kind of girly and I discovered that through this, but I cannot recommend this book enough. It is so good. Oh my god. Then, as stated previously, we went on to book number 2, which was City of Ashes. I also really enjoyed this. I also gave her 4 stars. Tabs. We decided to change up the color palette. We're going with pastels for the rest of the series. After that, I was on an Abby Jimenez kick, obviously, and so I decided to read. This was another 5-star, I think. Hold on, let me check. Yeah, she was 5 stars. Look at the tabs. This book, male main character, so good. It was so insanely sweet. I loved our male main character. I loved our female main character. I loved them both. The story was just so overwhelmingly sweet, and I just love it. I also could not with the way that the family tree connected this book to this book, and I was so glad that I had just read this because it all really came full circle. Could not recommend enough once again. I want to read everything she's ever written, and I plan to. After that, we went on to number 3 in the series, which was City of Glass. I remember really liking book 3. Obviously, the tabs speak for themselves. When I actually took a 2-book break and I read a little romance, we read Daydream, which is the 3rd book in the Maple Hills series, which is the Icebreaker series. I loved this. Henry is the cutest man on the planet. What else can I possibly say for the other 2? Henry and Hallie, just the cutest. Obviously, the tabs once again speak for themselves. Wow. I could actually see myself rereading this one where I don't really feel that for the other 2. And the book I read in between Mortal Instruments books was 5 Survive by Miss Hallie Jackson. This is the author who wrote A Good Girl's Guide to Murder Survive. So it was good. It's about a group of kids that get stuck in an RV and like there's some guy out there that doesn't want them to survive. So it was pretty interesting. Both these books were 4 stars for me. Last number 4, which is City of Fallen Angels. I also remember liking this one. I don't know, I kind of lose track of them after a while. And by the way, at this point, I had started reading pretty much from City of Glass on. I started doing audiobooks, which totally changed the game for me. I don't know that I would have gotten through all of them if I didn't do that, just because it's so much information, so many pages, so many people to keep track of, and it just made it easier for me to have like a little physical book and then be audiobooking this. Such a fucking treat. Such a fucking treat. Phantom by Greer Rivers. Oh my god. This is a dark romance retelling of classic musicals. You heard that right. I act. I used to be a theater kid. This is everything I've ever wanted. The series, by the way, I believe is called the Tattered Curtain series, and it is Phantom, and then there's Rouge, which is Moulin Rouge, and there's Dreadful, which is Sweeney Todd. Are you kidding me? I can't wait to read the others. I have not read them this year yet, but this book, oh my god. I grew up with Phantom of the Opera. It is one of my favorite things ever. Holy shit. I rated her 4 stars. It was incredible. I wish I tabbed it. I don't know why I didn't, because there's probably too much to tab, but it was so good. If you like a dark romance, especially if you know the story of Phantom of the Opera, it's so good. It's so good. It is very dark, but it is so good. We're in October. He reads now. We're in October. I read Where He Can't Find You. This was the first read of October. I think I read this in like 2 or 3 days. Incredible. It is literally kind of a shot-for-shot remake of It, in my humble opinion. I'm so sorry. But I love It. It's one of my favorite movies ever. I have not read the book because I'm afraid. You should know why. And anyway, I just absolutely love that movie. And so I loved this. This is crazy. This is about a serial killer in this like small town. I think the town is called Doubtful, by the way. Hilarious. Anyway, but it's about this serial killer who his thing is that he like kidnaps people and then he dumps their bodies stitched back together in like freaky ways with red thread. What? It's so sick. It's so dark, but the characters are really cool to root for, and they're honestly just really fun, really freaky, and it kind of turns supernatural. It's just a crazy book. I would definitely recommend it. 5 of the Mortal Instruments, which is City of Lost Souls. This one I think I liked. I don't know. Honestly, the audiobooks do make them like slightly more forgettable just because like you're not soaking in all of the information, I guess, as much as if you were reading them. Yes, she wrote that book. I read The Haunting of Hill House, which was by Shirley Jackson. This book I 50s, and I rarely like that kind of writing only because I get lost in the imagery sometimes. If you're still describing something a full paragraph later, girl, you've lost me. I don't know what we're talking about. I don't know where we are, but I really enjoyed it, if I'm honest. It probably helps that I absolutely love the show, and so I was kind of like going back and forth, like finding the similarities, but it was a really fun, spooky read. We then read 2 witchy books. The first was The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. This was super cute and super fun. Stretched it out, I probably would. Another witchy book, which was The Ex-Hex. I devoured this shit. I have to say, it's spooky little romance, and it's just the cutest. That's all I have to say. It's so cute. It's funny. Obviously, it's about a girl putting a hex on her ex, and then he comes back like 10 years later, and they reconcile. It's so cute. So upset, so angry. Finished the Mortal Instruments series with City of Heavenly Fire. The tabs on this book, this shit was really, really, really good. Once again, it's really long, so obviously I put it down at a lot of points just because, I mean, girl, look at the freaking size of it. But it was so good. What they did to my man Simon, I will never forgive you for, Cassandra. I will never forgive you, ever. Oh my god. It actually made me cry. Like, I burst into tears. I was so upset, so angry. No. Exactly. So, 4 stars. Would I recommend it? Absolutely. Although it came out, like, 15 plus years ago. So is it a tiny bit dated? Can you really tell it's early 2000s? Yes, but I loved that. So take with that what you will. Something That Happens at the by Miss Allie Hazelwood. As I told you, Allie she's been taking up rent up here. I enjoyed this book. I think I ended up giving it like 3 or 4 stars. There's something that happens at the end that I don't remember what it is, but I remember not liking it, and it's why it got a lower rating. Also the thing that happens in this book, like the weird thing, what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? That was insane. That pile right there. I read Getting Her. She's at the very bottom of that pile right there. I read Crossed by Emily McIntyre. I love the Never After series. I'm so sad it's over, but I read Crossed in preparation for reading Hexed, which is the final book in the series. This book though, Crossed, was so good. This is once again a dark romance like reimagining of The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I love that movie. I love it. And I loved the book. I will say this felt like one of the darker ones for sure. I blazed through this once again, finished it in like 3-ish days. Stars, 4.5 maybe. Taking up space in my brain when I'm like only started the Boys of Tommen series. I'm hoping my Boys of Tommen girlies from TikTok hop over here because y'all, we're gonna have so much to talk about when I start doing my Redeeming 6 reactions. But obviously starting out, we started Binding 13. Both Binding and Keeping 13 were 5 stars for me. They drove me crazy. I have not read a book in so long that like was taking up space in my brain when I'm like at work. Like I'm thinking about these characters and I'm depressed at work. That's insane. But I mean it so seriously. Johnny and Shannon will live right here in my heart for the rest of my life. Oh my goodness. Plus all the side characters. Gibbsy is the love of my life. I cannot wait for his book. I'm so excited. Cleanser to have a palette cleanser because she was depressed. And I read Spookily Yours. This is another Kindle book. I will say Kindle has taken over my life the past 2 months. But I just expected it to be great. It was not good. I just expected it to be better. But I don't know. It was just like a little too simple for me. There was really like zero plot going on and I need a little plot with my romance. Like I love it when it's cutie and fluffy and that's great, but like give me something to like think about. Give me something to like hold on to. You know what I'm saying? Want something really fluffy, really quick, then sure. After that, I embarked on 2 journeys really close to each other. So obviously reading the Boys of Tommen series, but I also decided to start the Never King series, which has also been taking up rent in my brain. I started with the Never King book. This was recommended to me by a girly at Barnes & Noble, love her, and it was recommended to me like over a year ago and I just never looked at it. Like I had it downloaded on the Kindle but just never clicked, and girl, she clicked, and oh my god. Obviously it's a dark romance, but it's not Wendy. It's like a different Wendy type character. So for argument's sake, let's say it's Wendy. It's Wendy, Peter Pan, and some of his lost boys. And I know how that sounds and I apologize, but I'm here to level with y'all. This book is so good though, you don't understand. Because yes, it's meant to be smutty, it's meant to be crazy, and whatever, hey, I'm not here to judge you, do your thing. But the plot is what kept me going. Because the plot is crazy and they end every book on like a cliffhanger and I'm over here like, girl, give me what? Moral of the story, really into it. I think I rated the first book 4 stars. I think they've all been 4 stars actually, but I'm getting ahead of myself. After that, I did a really quickie romance audiobook, once again by Miss Allie Hazelwood. I think it's called Cruel Summer with You. Cruel Winter with You. Sorry, I'm thinking of Taylor Swift. How much can you really, and I honestly didn't love it. I'd probably give it like 3 stars, maybe 2, but I think it's like a 100 and something page novella. So how much can you really do with that? So I take everything I say with a grain of salt. I ended up giving her 4 stars, moved on to Saving 6 and the Boys of Tommen series. This is the first one for me that hasn't been a 5 star. I ended up giving her 4 stars just because the time jumps drive me crazy. That's another thing as a book girly, like I just don't love, mainly because I get confused. I lose track of where we're at and it's too much for me personally. But it's the beginning of Aoife and Joey's story and I do love them. I just didn't love the way this book was formatted, but she's finished. She's ready to go. I read my 5th Allie Hazelwood book of the year, which was my favorite, by the way. Love Theoretically. 5 stars. Let me say it loud. 5 stars, okay? Look at how many tabs I ate this book up. You don't understand. These 2 people, that's it. That's literally it. It was so good. Cannot recommend it enough. Read everything this woman's ever written. I still have to read those 2. Whatever. Did not love, which is right here because I read her this month, which is Rock, Paper, Scissors. I wanted a thriller because I felt like I haven't read that many this year and I wanted to dive in and be a little spooked. It just didn't deliver. You know, there were too many twists because I love a twist. Don't get me wrong. Who doesn't love a twist? However, when you twist and then I'm like, okay, great. But then you untwist or like you twist some more, but then it makes the original twist not make any sense. What the fuck is that? and that was this book. And I hate that because I posted on my Instagram that I was reading this book and all these girlies are in my comments being like, oh my god, absolutely love this book, you're gonna love it, it was 5 stars, and I didn't love it, and now I feel like I can't post about it because I don't want to like disappoint anybody. It just wasn't for me. I don't know, there was just too much happening, too many twists at the end. And the final 2 books I have read up until this point on December 25th was The Dark One and Their Vicious Darling, which is the 2nd and 3rd installment of the Never King series. Once again, they were both 4 stars, they were super entertaining, the plot is what I'm here for. I know you won't believe me, but it's true. I'm reading. Those are all the 57 books Claire has read this year. And currently I'm reading Redeeming 6, as you know. Look like right. Don't mind my PJ pants. I literally have pile, all the books. All the books are here. Well, y'all, that was my first YouTube video. Welcome. That was a lot of information. That was a lot of rambling. And you know, halfway through, I'm like, I'm gonna overwhelm these people, but this is what you're getting with me. So better to be honest, am I right? I hope you guys have an amazing holiday season. I hopefully will be posting here soon, more soon. I'm excited to be able to like share all of my book stuff. I love getting to talk to you guys in the comments and just hear what everybody has to say, especially with series like Boys of Tommen or any of that, where there are so many opinions and so many thoughts. I literally can't wait. You stick around and I hope I can provide some fun bookish content for you, especially if our clock app friend is exiting. So here we go. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I guess comment if there's anything specific you want to see. I do definitely want to do reactions. I want to talk about maybe like some of my favorite series. I also really love the idea of looking into like some of my favorite series and maybe talking about certain theories or things. Like I know there's so much to talk about with SJM and I want to do that research for myself, but I thought it could be fun to do the research and then we can talk about it. So I guess that's what we have to look forward to. But I'm so excited. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy I'm finally doing this. And those were all the books I read this year so far. I'm so excited. I love you guys. I'm so excited. If any of my TikTok people are here, please comment, let me know, because I'm so excited and I'm so happy to still get to talk to you guys in a longer format. So here we be. Now I have to put all of these books back on my shelf. So I'll be doing that. If you celebrate, if not, have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye guys.